what you're going to do first of all is you're going to assess what you spend or what you would like to spend or what you should spend in each of the different categories. And we're going to go through them, each and every one of them. So for simplicity's sake, we're just going to deal with so much what you need right now. We're going to make it very basic if you've never done this before. What you need. Okay? Very good. Now, on the upper right corner, right about here. Oops. Turn it on, Gord. That helps. Right about here. You see the line monthly budget worksheet? And then you have underneath, you've got gross monthly income, federal and provincial taxes or net income. That's sort of those that are the more, shall we say, involved. Let's keep it simple today. Right underneath you see net monthly income. Put that figure in there when you're talking about that. If it's double income, put it in. Okay? After tax, what goes in your bank account? Or what you get in a check, if you still get checks. That's the figure you want to put in that corner there. Okay? Monthly income. Then we're going to go to expenses. And we want to be somewhat conservative. We don't want to be over like, oh, I would really like to. Let's just keep it very basic. So first of all, number one is food. Establish what you pay over each month. And we're going on a monthly basis. Go monthly, by the way. Notice how I had at the very beginning monthly income? Let's keep it within the monthly level, because that's the way it kind of tends to kind of put it into a concise fashion. So figure out what you're going to need. So let's what you're paying now, for example. Do on the average. Now, if you haven't, and you can't put a figure in here, then go and have, maybe you can go back to some receipts back of what you paid. Or you go and keep track of what you paid, maybe the next 2 or 3 months, to give you an idea of an averaging out. But try to determine what range you're going to have. If you want to then go and say, okay, now I want to plan my meals, just like we talked about, right? Setting up a menu in advance, then you connecting food to that and articulating it. You can work with that. You can take this as many and redo this as many times as you want, right? Accommodation, number 2. So you see all the listings there. Rent or mortgage. Property taxes, if you're paying for your property taxes. Sometimes mortgages have principal, interest, and taxes. PIT they call it. Whatever figure you're putting in there, include that. Water, heat, electricity on a monthly basis, phone, cable. Home insurance, sometimes that's on a monthly plan. If it's an annual payment, divide it by 12 to get into a monthly context. Maintenance and repairs, what would you say is the average? If you're going on an annual, well, we spent $2,000 last month or $2,400 last year, pardon me. Maybe that's what we can budget it for. That's $200 a month, right? Again, into a monthly context. Things like that. By the way, don't forget, I will be giving you my notes so that you'll be able to use that as a helpful guide, okay? Don't worry about this if you're not getting it all.
Gord, I get paid every 2 weeks.
Then,
The month is
monthly. Because we want to be consistent, right? But let's keep it
What
all
do I
the
put
same.
down as monthly then?
Put it down as monthly. So whatever you're paying every 2 weeks, double it.
Okay.
Okay? Just to kind of get a handle on the eventuality, because it's the bottom line that we want to get it into. Personal expenses, you see them all listed there. Some may apply, some may not, some may be an estimation. Transportation, number 4. Let's catch up here, Gord. Transportation. So you have the car payment, lease payment if it is, gas and oil. Do an estimation of what you're paying on a monthly basis. Oh, I spend about $100 a month on gas, or a week on gas. That's $400 a month.
Okay, we have some.
Licenses, what are they, about 120 a year now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've upped it, didn't they? Right, parasites. Okay, sorry, I'm on tape. Wonderful government that we have. Yes, go ahead, Monica.
And we, because I take the bus.
So
That
Save
would
a
be
lot of
it,
money.
okay? That's fine, because it's expenditure. Now, if you want to put that in, and notice you have a blank line at the bottom there, you can put that in there, buses, bus fares, right? Taxis, good point, Monica, well done. Repairing and parking as well. Household furnishings, number 5. So this is if you actually did go and get an appliance at, you know, whatever. Yeah, that's right. Water tank rentals, well done. Furnace rentals. Now, I'm not against it. And I'll tell you why, because if your furnace goes pooch and it's on a lease, they have to repair it. That's something that people don't know. But the problem is, when you sell the property, you better let the new owners know that that's going to be a lien against it. And it is a lien against you. So it's a catch-22 one way or the other. If you have your furnace and your air conditioning, your HVAC, they call it, under a lease arrangement with a heat carrier. So keep that in mind. It can go either way, but especially when it comes to selling the house, you want to have that paid off or discontinued. Recreation. They're listed out there. Alcohol and tobacco, make sure that you keep that regular and just kidding. But be reasonable about that. You know, whatever. If you are going for a vacation and it's an annual basis, divide it by 12. Okay? If it's an estimation on an annual, divide it by 12. Miscellaneous, birthdays, anniversaries. Again, generally that's an annual thing that we think, yeah, we spend 2 or 3. Or you set, you know what, I only want to spend for Christmas $2,000. And you're going to go and actually budget it so that by the time Christmas comes, you're going to have the money available for Christmas instead of so many that actually go and get into debt. And then guess what happens on January? The bill, called Blue Monday. January, 3rd week in January is Blue Monday. Because that's when the bills come in for Christmas. You have your hand up, sir.
I have a question. As for budgeting the vacation,
Yeah.
if you haven't gone through so much vacation in a way that you average it, it's not meaningful, then what's the best way of going at estimating the vacation?
Set a standard. Say, you know what, I want to go on a vacation. I'm going to plan for this. It ain't going to be debt that's going to pay for it. And this is the amount of money I want to spend on this vacation.
So maybe it would be wise to leave it aside for the very end, and maybe if you have some extras that's left after the budgeting, then maybe that can be the monthly savings.
Well, I think you can go 2 ways. Maybe you can go that way, but here's another way where you go and say, you know what, let's put it in. It's a dream. It's a want. Okay? And I'm going to systematically budget it for that. But it is it's under negotiation. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not carved in blood or signed in blood or carved in stone. It's under review. It's under review. Very good. Where are we at now? Number 7. Okay. Number 8, debt reduction. Okay? First of all, just put in the amount that you need to pay. The minimum. Okay? Not what you want to, but what you got to. That's where we're going to start out with that first, on a monthly basis. Deductible outlays, well, you know, go ahead. You see that it says religious donations. If you want to put in a certain amount right there, that's fine. If not, we're going to talk about that in a moment. We'll give you some ways to establish that. If you want to set aside monies for RSP, maybe some of you are already in a pension plan at work, don't worry about that. I'm talking about what comes out of your own bank account. You understand? Not what's pre-cut from your salary savings, like Canada Pension Plan and employment insurance, or Quebec Pension Plan, pardon me, and employment insurance or anything like that. It's what's coming out of your back pocket, or your purse, or your bank account. Okay? Tally up the expenses at the bottom. Now, compare it between what you have coming in and what you have all coming out. And you're going to have 3 scenarios. A, you're going to have a surplus. Yay! All right, good. You got more coming in than than going out. Possibility. Okay? Yes, go ahead.
I don't spend number 9, CPP, QPP, YC, because it
This
is
is
already,
actually planned.
I know.
That's the point. I'm saying don't get involved with that.
Oh, okay.
Don't get involved with that. I'm just talking about the stuff that would be coming out of your bank account, not that would be deducted upfront from your salary,
Yeah.
from your paycheck,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, so that should be an answer. Let's see.
Yeah. If it ain't there, don't fill it in.
Oh,
Fair enough?
good,
Yes.
yeah.
Good. Okay. Thank you for pulling me back a bit. That's okay. All right. So if you got, so that's great. You got a surplus, super. If it's flatlined, nice. It's okay. Nice. Well, we can do something about that. Let's start with the deficit. Let's start with the deficit. We're going to go with the deficit first. If you have a deficit, now you got to retool. The stuff that's under negotiation, Daryl, right? Is it Daryl? Sorry, I forgot. Sorry, sir. Your first name was it Daryl?
John,
John. Is there a Daryl in here?
No,
I might look like a Daryl.
No. Okay, John. That's cool because I have a brother John, by the way. Yeah, okay, good. So you have to retool your expenses. You got to redeal this, okay? So you're going to have to look at reducing your costs. Now, how do we reduce our costs? How do we reduce our costs? Well, there's some things you can do. First of all, you got to maybe kill some things, like subscriptions and memberships. Eliminate dining out. The principles of grocery shopping. Here's something that you can think of, and maybe you can throw some stuff at me. You ever go to work and you see Tim Hortons? See the cars that are lined up at Tim Hortons first thing in the morning? Okay, so how much is a cup of coffee? $2.
$2, yeah.
$2.
Multiply.
Okay, so think about this. You got $2.
This was Starbucks, $5.
Starbucks. Or McDonald's. Okay, $2 coffee. One a day. Okay, per day. What is that per week of working? 5 days a week. $10. That's right. $2 a day, 5 days a week. You work 448 weeks out of the year. You have to say you have a month off. 48 weeks of the year you work. What does that mean in per year? Or 50. How much? If you go, instead of buying a coffee, here's the point, you go and make it and take it. Got it? After a year, 40 to 50 weeks a year, you have saved yourself $480 to $500 per year in coffee.
And you can buy an espresso machine.
And pay cash. Let's take it another step. You go out for lunch. Give me an average of what it would cost for a lunch.
It depends on the place that you're going.
$10 a day?
No, 20.
What are you having for lunch?
Yeah. The cheapest one.
No, a kid's meal is. I told you, a kid's meal at McDonald's, $5. Okay.
12 to 15.
Okay, you know what? Let's just even go a little conservative. I'm going to do $10. You can get yourself a nice sub wrap and a glass of water and maybe or a combo for $10. Okay? You make it and take it. So you're now, but you spend $10 a day on lunch. That is, so per day, same formula, per week, 5 days. How much is that now?
0.
$50 per week.
So you have 200 now.
480 weeks, 48 weeks. You know what? Forget that. 50 weeks a year you work. How much have you just saved if you make it and take it? 50 times 50 is
2,500.
2,500. So if you take your lunch to work each day, if you buy that first, you don't buy that first coffee, you take it to work each day. You add 500 plus this, you save 3,000 just on that alone. Make it and take it. And chances are, if you make it and take it, you know what's in it. Because you made it.
And it's
No
healthy.
surprises.
It's healthier.
Healthier.
To make it.
Yeah, I know. I make my own bread.
Me too.
It's so easy.
Bread maker. What do you do?
Yeah, it's
Look,
true.
if you think I'm Mr. like Monk in an old English
bread
outfit,
maker.
going and kneading dough, get real. Slap in the water, put a couple of spoons of this and that, and a couple of,
That's it.
close the lid, push the button, okay, make me bread. That's it,
It's true.
okay?
Even better, you don't eat the carbs.
Well, that's true too, that's another story. I know, I know. But that's one way. That's one way. Buying gas. What is it with gasoline that you can go in the morning and then go at night after 7 and it's like 4 or 5 cents per liter cheaper?
Yeah?
10? Really?
Not changing.
It's like buying stock for crying out loud.
That's
You
right.
think it's cheaper in the evening than in the morning?
Yes!
And it's higher in weekends.
That's another one. Don't buy it before a long weekend. Don't get it on Friday before a long weekend.
Oh, Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you notice that there's some, I don't know about this is just London speak, okay? But there are some gas stations that are cheaper than others.
Yes.
Like, why would you pay for it more than what you have? Same thing, gas, right? As long as it's a reputable firm, right? If it's like Bert's Gas Emporium, you gotta kind of wonder, okay, what am I gonna put in my tank? But if it's, what's the Petrocan, Irving, what's another one? Costco? Esso, yes. Esso.
Well, Costco.
Costco.
Costco does everything now.
Costco doesn't do that, does it? Yeah, okay. All
So you,
right.
you get an app called Gas Buddy.
Oh.
You tap on the app and they'll tell you within, whatever you put it, 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers,
Yep.
what the gas prices are at the gas stations around it.
What's it called again?
Gas Buddy.
Buddy, okay, there you go. This is why we do this. It's not just me speak, there's some great ideas coming in, so keep it in flowing, guys. This is why we're doing this, okay? Gas Buddy. Eliminate dining out. If you got to work on it. The things that are negotiable, John, right? Like the vacation. Sorry to interrupt that.
Yes.
The things that are negotiable.
Yeah.
Out it goes. Get it to have it where at least it's flatline, but best yet to surplus it. That's what this is for. Okay? Now here's the problem with debiting, with budgeting, and it's debit. Right? You can do it on your watch for crying out loud. Ridiculous. But in this digital age, it's really hard to control this thing. So I'm going to go into a style that is so medieval that you can't help but work it. So here's the things. If you can't control because I've done it, but I keep spending it because I'm not using cash, I'm using digital. Here's what you got to do. You get a expandable file folder, or better yet, you just get envelopes. And the stuff that you pay, I'm talking about now, you're going cash. You got it? Not digital. You got to go cash. You get jars, you get envelopes, and you write down gas. You write down groceries. The stuff that isn't automatically coming out of your bank account. Oil, repairs, whatever. Put into write it on the envelope. Then whatever you have on your budget, you get the cash out of the bank account, find a safe place in the house so the kids don't know, and you take the money and you put it in the jar, you put it in the envelope. And that's it, because I'm going to train you now to say, you're going to spend, but when it's gone, it's gone. You cannot spend any more. This is where it gets really tough. But let me share something with you that might be a pleasant surprise. You may find yourself that you have stuff left over. It happens. Okay? I've got money in my house for Christmas. It's cash, and it's in an envelope, and that's what it's for. Because I don't want 1 penny of interest for Christmas. Where did it come from? From months ahead of budgeting to put the money aside. And I have to do it for Christmas. Everything else I can do, okay, but Christmas for some reason, I got to set it aside. Because if I don't, I'll go stupid. I really will. Yes, Monica?
Can I open a tax-free savings account and put the money in there and then take it out at Christmas?
Absolute. Yes, you can. If there's even growth on it, you can absolutely pay them out with growth. Just because you know we have 63,500 right now as our limit, but that's just the deposit limit. If it happened to grow to 70,000 and you pull 70,000 out, you can put back in. You have to wait a year, but yeah, you can do that. Yes, you can. But I'm talking about where you just can't control it. Getting the cash, because cash you can see. If it's gone, it's gone. Sorry if I sound passionate about this, but do you understand? Because you can't see gone from digital. Yes, go ahead.
I like to do that going and you know so much I have to spend on grocery. But my husband and I said, oh, spend on your car because you get points.
Do you know who gets points? It's the companies. Do you know where they're trying it? Yeah.
Yeah, but
Do you know how much points are in a black visa? What the percentage is on the black visa? 18%. Plus $195 annual fee for getting points. Who benefits?
the company.
Thank you.
Yeah, but there are some credit cards that you don't pay the annual fee, and you get some points, okay? And when you pay your balance, pay it in full amount, so you don't pay interest and you get some points back.
Let me give you one different
Is that
version.
good?
Let me give you one different version. I have a balance in my credit card
Mhm,
that shows a negative in front of the figure.
mhm.
Do you know what that means?
Yes, and then you have some money left there.
I
that you are
overpaid.
refusing. Oh, that's another case then.
I overpay. Not a lot because I don't get anything out of it. But generally around $150, $200 in case of emergency or whatever. That way I don't pay them interest. I'm sorry, I just hate paying them in. You know what? I'm willing to forsake points just so that I don't even give them the potential. I hate them having me get any interest from it. That's the way I am.
But why can't they give us interest when we left the money?
They won't do it.
I know.
No, they won't.
Do you know what really ticks me off? I get it. Boy, do I get emotional. I'm sorry, Cameron. I'll charge something. Boom, just like that. But if I pay it off the next instant online, it takes 3 or 4 days for that payment to go through.
That's right. That's right.
Vicious parasites.
And then you could have missed your cutoff date,
Yeah.
and they charge.
They gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
And heaven forbid you do a cash advance.
That's a lot
Oh,
of
baby.
interest.
Wow.
That's like they gotcha. That's like a shackle on you until that whole balance is paid off. Not just the amount that you took out as a cash advance, the whole balance has to be paid off before they can charge you any interest on that.
And the next month you pay interest on the interest.
Yes.
Right on. Don't get all hyped up on points. You know what? There's nothing better than cash. Nothing better than cash. I'm not really into points. If it's a potential that I can get into a problem.
We have a question back.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
It's okay. For that credit card payment, you know, when you pay the day of online and then it shows up 3 days later, I had actually called the bank for that because they had charged me interest on that. And then what my dad told me to say, and it worked, was to say, well, then I'll pay check and date it to that day, and then they can only deposit it at that day, and then it can't be, like legally it's been paid the day
It's been
of.
paid on that day.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
you can't, and they accepted that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still a lot of hassle, isn't
I know
it?
but then I didn't have to send checks because then they,
And you actually do checks?
well, I have checks, yeah.
Do you know how to do a check? Because I can see your age. It's like, they don't know how to do checks. Wow, don't let her go. Don't mess with her. You make her happy for the rest of her life, okay?
I use checks too sometimes.
Attaboy, all right. Way to go.
Why not?
Understand that, again, now if the surplus is there, then you're going to use it for something else, right? You don't go and buy a Porsche with a surplus.
No, I save it.
You go for other, save it. Or better yet, if you got debt, let's go knock some debt down. Let's go at it. Let's go kill that sucker, right? Let's go after it. All right, if it's flat, okay, again, debt that's unaddressed. Start to pay it off. Examine where you're spending your funds again. Find ways to reduce it. Make it even better. And then if there's a surplus, you can still look at it. Just like, no, go and start to look at it. Because in the case of surpluses, that's opportunities. Again, whose money is it?
God.
God's. Is there an opportunity to bless God and glorify God? Because that's where financial freedom really is. It ain't the massive bank account. It ain't all the stuff that we buy. It's not a lot of big portfolio. But financial freedom is knowing that this is God's stuff. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, and in my business, I have been in houses so opulent, and the people inside were homeless. I've been in subsidized housing, and there was like a warm hug. You understand the difference? You understand the difference? You go into some houses, and it was like cold, and the tension, you could just cut the air with a knife. And yet it wasn't a home. They were homeless. You know, so opulence is not the format of freedom. Now,
Can I ask you one more?
yeah,
thing?
go ahead, Monica.
I don't write checks, because most of the time when I wrote checks, by the time I got to my bank account and I thought it was gone, and then I found out
It wasn't.
it wasn't.
Yep.
And so now I only, I have an account, I only write money orders.
Interesting.
And my account, I asked them, I want an account that I can use money orders.
Okay.
And ever since I've done that, I go to the bank, and when I want to pay somebody, I pay them with a money order, which means it comes directly out of my account because the money is there,
Okay.
and then it goes to them, and then I never have any more headaches.
Or a certified check, right?
Yes.
Yes. But that's for, so give me examples of when you would use that, Monica. For what payments would you be using it for? Because would you be using it for groceries or gas or anything?
I use it when I have to pay, like, for my lawn service or things like that. You know, I use it, when if I know I'm gonna give money to somebody, like I'm giving money to, an association, I'll use I use it all the time.
Okay, interesting.
Except, like I said, if I want groceries, I go to the bank and I say, I'm gonna take out this amount of money. But everything, I write money orders.
Okay, interesting. So that way you know that it's not gonna be hanging over.
Because they tell me, I told them, I said, I like to write money orders, because my sister, if she wants to write a money order, it costs her $6. So she'll come to me and say, Monica, can you write a money order?
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
you-
But there's no fee when you're over 65.
Is that right?
Yes.
I'm gonna be 65 in 2 weeks.
Yes, there's no fee. You can use money order.
This is why I'm here.
Okay?
This is why I'm here.
As long as you want.
Okay. But you wanna know something?
I asked for an account
Yeah.
that gave me, but back in the day, I had it, but I don't know because I'm older now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they do that anymore for people, but I do know that I just always wrote money orders.
You know, if it works for you, that's fine, you know? I personally, if I write a check, I make note of it in my budget.
Right.
It's there, and it's gonna happen. Like I wrote a check to support somebody 3 weeks ago, and it finally came out this week. Well, I knew it was gonna happen. It was there, it was already there. So on the ongoing budget, as I do online, because I do it once every 2 weeks. So if I put it in there, it's noted that it's already there. So when I go to the next one,
Yeah.
the next pay period, I've got figures outlined, and that other is gonna happen anyways.
But what happens is a lot of times I would give people the checks and then I have to run after them, did you cash it? And that's the thing that was so annoying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I started with money orders and that really saved my life.
Either two ways.
Yeah.
Either it's like, it's done, and I know the system will catch up to it eventually, or if you wanna go there, or you get cash, you know? I mean, what we're talking about here is any ways and means to avoid getting into debt.
Right.
That's the key. Any ways and means that we can get to go out of debt. So how are we doing so far? Are we doing good? Have we got some sense of it? Okay, so we have the right attitude about money. Got it?
Yes.
We know why we get into debt. Impulse buying. Got it? We found ways to reduce our expenses. Right? We found a systematic way to go and help control our expenses through budgeting. Right? How do you set up a plan now? Now, you had mentioned you use Dave Ramsey. Did I hear that correctly?
We
So do
started.
I. So this is a repeat of stuff. I apologize, but I can't help it. But maybe a little bit of a different twist. Is that okay?
Review is always good.
Excellent. So Dave Ramsey has 6 steps, baby steps, that I like. Baby step number 1, get $1,000 in your bank account as fast as you can. That's going to be your first plan of attack, because now we have to have a plan of attack. We want you to go and get you onto a cash-only basis. So in that budgeting, you want to try and find out some ways and means to have as soon as possible, whether you say I want it done in a year, which is $80 a month, or I want it done in 6 months, which is $160 a month, but you go and set that aside in your savings or whatever, put an asterisk, and you go, this is an absolute. I want to have $1,000 in my bank account ASAP. Doesn't have to be a tax-free savings account, just put it in a bank account, because it's there for you. Because that way, in case a furnace or a fridge goes, or a microwave, you're not having to go and get into debt to buy it. Or if some car repair, you need new brakes, you don't have to go to a debt in order to get it, unless it's like $2,500, then you want to have more, obviously, but that's another step and we'll share in a moment. But just to start with this, say, hey, I got $1,000 in there already. Number 1. Number 2.
Gordon,
Yes,
just
Ron.
one small thing. Dave Ramsey says that if you have a lower income, then aim for $500. Instead of I can't do that,
Yeah.
to put $500 away.
Well, or you go and get another job. You know, or you go back to school, whatever. I understand completely. That's a fair estimate. Me personally, you can't get. This is for the purpose. This will get you out of debt for sure more than $500 in the bank account.
Yeah.
That for sure. Next one, paying off consumer debt. Number 2. So you got number 1 done. Now you're going for consumer debt. So, say for example, you have 2 debts. What am I mean by consumer debt? Visa, could be, like Hudson Bay, stuff like that, you know.
Select
credit-
line,
Pardon?
select line.
Select line, I have no idea what that is, thank you, I don't want to know. But let's say you have
I
debt.
bet most people know what it is.
Okay, good. You have debt here, let's say it's $800, and the balance, that's at 18%. You have another debt, and it's $2,000, and it's at, say, 7%. You want to start going attacking the debt. Which one do you go after first?
I'll pay the 2,000
Why?
because of the interest. If you don't pay it, the
What's the interest on here?
7%.
7%. So after a year, if you don't change it, how much is that in dollars and
Could
cents?
be more,
Be $140, right?
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Per year, roughly, if you don't change. What's the interest on this? 8 times 8 is 64, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Actually, you know what, that's a bad idea. Let's go for one. No, that's right, yeah, 18%,
Oh.
8.
That's also big.
Yeah, that's big too. I don't like that. Let's go for, say, 10%. Okay?
But
That's
any MasterCard would
$80.
be 18%.
Pardon?
No, it's
Any
24%.
MasterCard would be 18%.
Yeah, I know. But that's, I'm making a point here, even if it's 500. Sorry, I'm doing bad math. Bad math. All right, let's try again. $500, and it's at 12%
Interest.
interest. What is that? How much is that? 60?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got 1 at 140. You got 1 at 60. Which one do you go first?
Pay that one.
Pay this one. Why?
Cause then you'll have money left over to pay, put it on that one.
Okay?
Pay it off.
Because it's obviously more big payments, right?
Pay it
So it's
off.
more payments and more interest.
Pay it
So
off.
how many say this one here, door number 2? Hands up.
Oh.
How about door number 1? Why?
Interest is high.
Yeah.
The interest is
This
high
is,
on
this,
this
the interest
one.
is $60 here, 50 at 12% versus 2007, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So this has got, mathematically got more,
More
less interest.
Payment there.
Yes, why would you go?
But the $500 one, you can pay off faster, and once you got that done, you got something accomplished. In the sense of, I
That's
can
another
do
thing.
this.
Did you hear what she said?
You can pay it off very fast.
That's it. Success breeds
And then
success.
you can take that and put it on to the
Success
next.
breeds success. That's very important. Thank you for saying that. That's why I got kind of muddled up, because my first point was like, oh shoot, that doesn't work. Okay, because I got too much higher figures there.
The best thing is not to have those. Then.
But if you have them, if you're going to start with a systematic plan of attack, go with the path of easiest and less resistance at
Yeah,
first.
that one.
The one that's going to give you that joy of paying off, right? Go for the smaller one first.
Yeah.
Then, when you're not paying for the payments on this, what do? Do you go and you have yourself a party and spend and buy clothes?
No.
What do?
You keep
Set
using that
aside
money and
the
put it on
money.
the next one.
Start paying that off. Right? Systematic plan of attack. Get rid of that debt. You know?
But still, if you pay $500 here, which are higher interest, and if you pay the same $500 here, I think you are doing less in this other one, even though the total interest here are higher, because you are still paying interest in the 1,500 remaining in this.
You're saying that they're both the same interest, right? What's the
Now
deal?
that we should anyways pay the higher
The money.
interest.
Are you saying pay the 500 off here?
No, in
What he's saying,
in this one, even though it was higher value, I mean, not only because we are getting rid of this debt, but also because it has higher interest, no?
Yeah,
So
that could well be. But you want to know something? Even if this was like, let's say this was 17 and this was at 8, which really, I mean, dyslexic, that's what I should have done.
The reverse
Yeah.
scenario.
The reverse scenario, you'd still want to pay this off first.
Okay.
Okay? And if there's a card attached to this, and you don't need that card, and you could potentially go and use it again, yes, sir, what are we going to do?
Scissors.
Scissor.
Shredding
Plastic
machines will also
surgery.
cut up plastic.
Get shredded, get shredded.
Go with the money that you're not buying on this to get a shredder. Have a shredding party. If you don't need it, get rid of it. If you don't need it, get rid of it. I have one charge card, that's it. Why? Because sometimes I have to book flights and I have to use it. And when I do, it gets paid off instantly. And with a little bit of extra on top of it. Okay? Get a success pattern going. So that's number 2, paying off consumer debt. How am I doing for time? We're going nicely. We're just going nicely. Let's see, what's number 3? Increased savings. So, you've already got $1,000, right? You're going now and you're getting rid of the consumer debt. Not the car loan yet, per se, but just those stuff that's around here, right? This stuff here. You can work on the car loan or you can work on others, but just that for now. Just the credit card stuff. Now you want to increase it. You want to take it from 1,000 to 3 to 6 months net income in your bank account. Now we're really going to get into a cash-free basis. So that if you have to have money for a new car, you're not going to use 100% financing. You're going to go and get it and maybe probably pay cash for it. 3 to 6 months of net income in the bank account. Bank account. Got it? Don't get all hoop-de-doo on an investment portfolio, but I'm only getting 0.25%. It's in the bank account. You can get pretty creative later on. Just want you to build that up. So, how do you do that? Well, the stuff that you're not paying on this stuff, you can use that to make this happen now. How are we doing? Making sense? One step at a time. Number one, 1,000. Pay off the consumer debt. Now 3 to 6 months of income. Step 4, 15% to retirement. Not just the basic where you have like a 2%, 2% or 3%, 3% is the standard employment relationships you get right now. But you can get up to 15% for retirement. Start putting money aside, especially actually as you know, the more money you put into, within limits of course, you've got your limits, the government sets that up, but what you put into an RRSP or retirement is a deduction on your income, taxable income, which means you got tax savings. Which means money you don't have to pay on tax. Chances are you probably get a tax credit, which means you can put more into increased savings or into retirement. Yes, sir.
For point number 4, is that other than what you have for CPP, for example, or RSP?
Outside of CBP,
Outside.
yes. Yeah. Because CBP is like, it's the pension plan, right? Or QPP in this case, right? Yeah. It's your own. It's your own. Set it aside. For those that have kids, children's education. Set money aside for that. Now you can't possibly pay their entire education. That's not possible probably, or if you can, God bless you for doing it. But, you know, allow them the opportunity to pay for theirs as well. It's a very maturing concept. Really good. But you can certainly help. Here's an example. $75 a month, earning, let's say an investment, if it's in a portfolio, 5%. After 10 years, you've got over 11,000, 15, almost 20, and 17 years. By the time, if it's age 0 to the time they're ready to go to university or college, they got $23,000. Now that may be 1 year's of tuition and accommodation. I get that. But it's 1 year less of debt. It took my kids 10 years to pay off their student loans. And I helped them. They were able to get that. It's a bone around their neck, man. I'm telling you, it really is. And once they were gone, their life really changed. Pay off the mortgage. Number 6. Do I need to explain that anymore? Pretty simple, basic stuff, right? Once you have that all in line, Dave Ramsey says, now it's time to be generous. Now it's time to be generous. Now you can go and you look at that abundance, that 3 to 6 months or whatever you have, or the money that you have that you're not going into debt, and you say, you know what, this is the time that I can go and give to God's glory. Okay? Yes.
I disagree.
Good. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. I'm just sharing you. Hold that thought. Don't take it away from me. Okay? See what? Because I want you to hear what I have to say in total. Fair enough?
Biting my tongue.
No, it's good. I love it. I love it. God bless you for saying it because we're going to be the same path. Because I'm different. I'm a little different. This is what they generally teach. This is what they generally teach. I'm different. But let's go, why should we give? First of all, it's biblical. This ain't a suggestion that God gave us. This is a command. This ain't something that says, here's something you may want to give a shot at. This is an ordinance. Honor with the first fruits of your wealth. He is very explicit here. Look at what he says. How will you rob me in tithes and offerings? If you're not giving a portion of your income to God's kingdom, you're robbing God. That's not subtle. He's pretty explicit in that. And that's not a guilt trip, that's just the way God is. You know, you're robbing, you know what you're robbing? You're robbing yourself of the blessing you're getting. We'll talk about that tomorrow in my sermon tomorrow, okay? And if you have it such that, no, I can't give what I want to give because, well, if your riches are in your trust in that, you got yourself a real bad master. Don't let it be your master. You be the master of that. You control that with the principles that we've done today. And it's a commandment. Keep it a commandment. So, by the way, this is how the world teaches how to give. I'll talk about this tomorrow as well, but this will be, you'll have a little preamble of my little sermon for tomorrow. So don't skip out of my sermon tomorrow, okay? This is how they teach how to get people to give in nonprofit organizations. First of all, under duress, where they will absolutely use shame. They'll go, Jonah, okay, and you're an opulent business owner. Listen, you and I know each other. We need $20,000 for this Hug a Tree Foundation. We have a campaign going on right now. I know you can afford it, so I want to see a check right here. Cut it. Come on, we know each other. I want you to cut a check. You know, and that's how they go. Generosity by guilt and duress. They're not kidding. If you're part of, let's say, a religious organization, they'll, you know, the so-and-sos gave us $100,000. Are you going to let them go and outdo you? Come on, give us a check. And that's how they teach. That's under duress. Or they'll use a ritual. They'll have it set up in a time when it's like a religious order. Or they do a quid pro quo, okay? They'll go and they'll say, okay, you know, I'll give, but I want direction. I want it specified exactly how this is to be used. Sometimes the missionaries. But they'll also, you know, have it in such a way that it's restricted. No. Recognition is a big one here in the world today. The photo op with the thyroid check, I call it. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Look at them. Look at how much they gave. Or they have a wing next to, or a building in their name.
Mm-hmm. Like Trump.
There you go. Like anyone. You got, listen, anywhere. You'll find, you know, a sports center, or a place, a wing for research in a hospital. And you'll find a name somewhere along that line somewhere where somebody's given, all right? Photo op. Compensation, quid pro quo. So have you heard that enough times this week?
Yeah.
But compensation, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. I want something for it. Ever watch PBS?
Yeah.
You ever see them in the campaign? You know how they have like this Poldark, Downton Abbey moment where they have an episode, but then they cut it halfway through because they want to share with you what it means to give to PBS. And for so much dollars, you get a complete set of dishes or sponges or something, I don't know what. You know? Quid pro quo. You give, I give back, right? That's the standard. Not in God's world. We're not conformed to this. We're to give not grudgingly, not out of necessity, we're to give cheerfully. And Christ said, do it with a perfect heart. Do it with even where your left hand doesn't know what your right hand's doing. No condition, no duress, no recognition. You just give and you don't account for it. You don't go and say, okay, I'm giving, but I want to make sure it's being used exactly how I want it to be used for. Watch out for that trap, because that's a dirty trap. Where do you give first and foremost? And please do not think that Brian had me come here for this purpose. Or the treasurer or the finance committee. This is my standard. I'm a preacher's kid. I can't help it. Number one, you give to this spiritual family, this church. You give to this family. Number one. Okay, and if you're doing that already, God bless you. God bless you. And then for that which is even in above that, because when you look at your surplus, if this is going to turn out the way it should turn out, if you get a surplus, that 3 to 6 months or more, you look at that 3 to 6 surplus and say, well, no, I can't touch that because that's, you know, that's emergencies. No, that's for God. That all of a sudden somebody comes along and says, you know, I'm a missionary, or I'm in this brand new venture, and we're needing somebody to support. Maybe it's somebody that needs to be on a missions trip. And you know you could cut a check or a money order, Monica. You could check a money order and say, you know what? How about if I cut you a check or a money or something digital or whatever, and here's 300 or 600 or 1,000, and you can use it. And boy, that's like a warm hug. And it's cash. And it's there and it's God. And then you get to see God bless. Because He doesn't mess with it. He loves that. Boy, do I sound like a southern preacher. I don't know where that came from. I have no idea. But this is it, you know. To the least of mine even, it can be just somebody in need. It's for somebody else. Yes, I hear something. Monica?
I have a difficulty And it's like, you give people money to do something, and you don't get the receipt. They don't want to give you the receipt. What's my problem?
I'll throw that out to the class. Is there a problem? This is gonna be a tough answer for you, Monica. What are you giving the money for?
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm not
yeah,
trying to be
no, no,
cold.
no. I asked somebody to do something for me, and it's a guy who, he's helping me with my husband's, we're trying to work out the will. So he said that he's gonna charge me $50 for half an hour. So, when it came to time, I thought I owed him 200, and he said, well, no, we're gonna bump it up to 3.
Okay. So when I hear receipt, I'm sorry, when I hear receipt, I think of a charitable receipt.
Yeah.
You're talking about receipt for services and they're not giving you a receipt?
Yeah.
Okay, that's an apples and orange different story here.
Okay, but
Okay.
I just like, I have a hard time with that because.
And you should.
And so.
You should. Sorry, I misinterpreted.
Okay.
Because if somebody's not giving you a receipt, that means they're trying to do it without paying taxes.
Yeah.
And
But
don't get
how-
involved with that.
But how do you say that? You just, and then I say to them, can I have the receipt? And you should see the look on their face, and they're so mad. And so then I said to God, you know what, it's not my money, it's your money, and I'm not gonna worry about it. And I just let it go, but I don't understand.
I
Sorry.
would say, you know what, I mean, you're getting involved in something that quite frankly is at least not honorable, but definitely is even illegal. It is, it's tax evasion. And the tax evasion, that's pretty serious when it comes to Canada Revenue and the Canada Revenue Agency. Don't do it. Whether they get angry at you or not, I would rather have a man or a woman angry at me and honor God than the other way around.
But this person is a Christian too. and I
Doesn't
think-
matter. If they're a Christian, they shouldn't even be thinking about doing that. We have too many Christians without Christ, Monica.
That's true.
That comes from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, Cost of Discipleship. Read that book, you get an understanding of what I'm talking about. Don't, just because it says I'm a Christian doesn't, and if you can't see Christ all over it, walk away. Walk away. Okay?
I took my bag and I left.
Yeah. But when I thought, when you were asking that question, it was like, okay, I want to give, but I don't get a tax receipt for the giving that I do. There may come a time, ladies and gentlemen, because of what we stand for, that the government will take our charitable status away. And then you're going to have to ask yourself, well, am I going to give because of a charitable receipt, or am I going to give because God wants me to give? Boy, that's going to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Because that's what I said. I said, you know what, it's God's money.
Yeah.
I give it to you, and you do what you want, and I don't feel bad, but I just wonder how people deal with that. That's all.
There are two types, and there'll be those that'll go, hey, yeah, I can get something cheaper, and the guy's not paying tax, and I got a bargain. And you don't want that. You go and you deal with people that are reputable and right. Christ said, you pay your taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
He did. You honor the government. Paul said, pray for those that are above you, in spite of what we have today. And when he did it, it was Nero and Caligula who butchered Christians at the time that he said those words. Pray for those that are in authority over you. Walk away, Monica. If it stinks, walk away from it. If it ain't got Christ written all over it, or honorable, legal, walk away. You'll save yourself a lot of heartache, because it always comes back at you. You participated in it as well. So, you remember how you disagreed with me, young lady? Right?
You were on the same page.
We're on the same page. So here's how it goes. We're on the same page. I said you go and you give, right? You do all these things and then you give, right? No. This is the Gordon Baptist method. You're giving while you're doing this.
Yeah, it should be.
You're giving while you're doing this. Okay? So for example, whatever you had set for this figure, got me? Whatever you had set for this figure here in your budget,
Give it.
do 90% and take the 10% and give it to God. I am encouraging you that you are going to now put your giving as a systematic item in that budget sheet. Well, Gord, it's only $10. It's $10. If you haven't been giving, it's a start. Remember we talked about working out of the gym? And I didn't bench press 250. I still don't bench press. I couldn't even possibly bench press 10 to 50. What did I start at? 50. Now after 10 years, 60 pounds, right? Okay. No, it's more than that. But I started with little baby steps. You got that? Oh, $10 a month? That's all I have to do? Perfect. I can do that. In perpetuity, I can do $10 a month for the rest of my life. Is that what I'm saying? No. No, that's a start. 10%. Then, when you've got this, you can up the game, because now, and when you pay this stuff off, okay, well, whatever you were using here that you weren't paying off anymore, because this is gone, to go to step 3, you take 10% of this and give it to God. Got me so far? You're upping the game. Because maybe this is now from $10 to now this is another 50, 60, or 100 a month, and up it goes. The blessing increases. And then whatever you're playing with this, well, this is $200, $300, $400 a month. Fine. Well, then, or $2,000 a month, maybe. Well, okay, now I can do $200 to $300. You understand? Each step is as there's a greater surplus in your budget, you take 10% to go to give to God's kingdom. It's forgiving. I am infusing in your life an attitude that I want giving as part of my budget. And it ain't, oh, look how holy I am. It's like, God, it's all yours. And the surplus, okay, that's God's. God has never caused anyone to declare bankruptcy because they gave too much. I can tell you from that as a promise. Nobody yet to date that I've ever dealt with that had an idea that this is all God's money, and they give and they give and they give, and they have never been able to say to me, I had to declare bankruptcy because I gave too much to God. Because guess what God does? He opens the gates of heaven. Remember that line, will you rob me in tithes and offerings? The next line is, test me in this. Absolutely, Malachi 3:10. Test me in this. That's the only thing that God ever taught us that we could test him on. Did you know that? Remember the temptation of Satan and Christ? Pinnacle of the temple, throw yourself off, Satan said. It won't cause you to rebel. And what was Satan's response? Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God.
Jesus' response.
Jesus' response. Did I say Satan?
Yes.
Sorry, dyslexic. God forbid. Jesus' response. Thou shalt not test the Lord thy God. Same. That you can. He says, test me in this. Ladies and gentlemen, from a perfect example of myself, wow. It is amazing what God, and it's not just financial, because I don't want to be this prosperity preaching kind of guy. There's blessings in other area. But financially, what he has done in my life too, over the top. Over the top. Get this infused in your life. Make it a part of your life. Kick it up a notch, right? From 50 pounds to 60 pounds, right? Make it, get physically fit in this. To go and honor God. And every time you're doing this, giving, right? It's a beautiful thing. And not only giving while you're living, but giving while you're gone. Half of Canadians don't have a will. This is just a little sidebar. Half of Canadians don't have a will. Do you know who benefits the best ever when you don't have a will and you die?
The government,
Absolutely. Why is that, Monica?
because they take it all.
That's right. And do they give any portion to God's kingdom?
No, and they.
No, they do not. If you got young kids, guess who determines who